So when it comes for building yourself a retro gaming machine, arcade, there are many different solutions out there, or you just want to build yourself like a game system with all kinds of retro gaming possibilities. So, in this video we are going to be doing a chit chat about the RetroBeast. What is this and what can you actually expect from it? So what I wanted to say, let's say hard drives, you can find them from all different ways and most of them are quite expensive and some are a little bit more than another one. But what made me choose to actually get into the RetroBeast? So when it comes to, let's say, looking into these kind of ways, they are like super expensive compared with, say, a normal hard drive price or maybe some other competition. But there are a lot of different solutions out there when it comes to hard drives. You can see we're having the Kinhank, we're having the Retro, but also even bought a Sira. But one of the things I did notice with these particular hard drives, you never know what you're getting. It's absolutely one massive gamble. The first is the quality of the drive. I did had some reports online with comments seeing people having 400GB drives where they're using really old stuff. Sometimes hard drives that are barely alive or just stop working automatically. The bigger ones, the images itself, they're like randomly images. I'm guessing they're grabbed from the internet because that's actually how it felt. Having a lot of problems, and I mean, there was no support. So what you see, what you're getting, and if something doesn't work, you need to fix it yourself. And I think that is particularly the part what really intrigued me of getting something different. Where some of these things are really cool, the thing is, support. If you have no knowledge about hard drives or emulations, emulators, whatever, this is going to be an issue when it comes to these cheaper hard drive solutions. But what you're getting is something ready to go. Somebody spent countless hours getting something like this set up, and I think having a lot of updates going on throughout the future of these things, it's going to be one of the more convenient ways to play and don't have all of, let's say, the shenanigans going on when it comes to updating and keeping track of everything going on. So yeah, this is just a hard drive and nothing else. But then is the question, how can you use it and what are great options? So when it comes to using a hard drive like this, we do need to have a very good PC when it comes to the specifications. But let's chit chat about more like compact models. What are options if you don't have a lot of space? So actually, if you're getting into, let's say, hardware specs, there are all kinds of AMD or Intel based devices. But one thing you need to take consideration, and both will have, are like dedicated GPUs. The first idea is actually to have a mini PC. You can buy them from all kinds of different brands or just from AliExpress. But if you're getting a particular model like this, you have, for example, an i9 in combination with an GTX or an RTX card in the inside. This mini PC actually contains an RTX 2060 and also had one with a 3050 Ti. In other words, you need to have such a powerful device and a very expensive mini PC. And when it comes to a compact design like this, it also comes at a hefty price point. Of course, you cannot build this hard drive in, so we're going to be needing an external enclosure, for example, and using an SSD in the inside for the Windows itself. So it's not really the most convenient, and I think this is not really going to be a recommendable situation. But if you have this thing laying around, hey, why not? But let's do a combination with this particular, and is this really convenient? No, not really. And one of the things you need to take consideration if you're having a mini PC, besides the price point I already mentioned before, so you cannot easily put this thing in here, so we're going to be needing a different configuration. And when it comes to the RTX 2060 that's inside of this thing, it's the mobile version, so it's not going to be that powerful compared with the original full-size GPU. The combination for just the normal retro games, this is just going to be more than enough, so I think it will be fun. But if you want to put this hard drive in, let's say, the machine itself, then we're going to be needing a different configuration. But we do have another option that's maybe, let's say, less expensive, but it's going to be more interesting when you're going to be needing more power. And that is going to be the RetroBeast with a Mini ITX. So the Mini ITX, I did a full video about one of these, and I'm still going to be needing to rebuild myself another one, because these things are super convenient. So when it comes to this particular model, they're very compact, almost compact than having, let's say, a mini PC. But what is even more interesting, that it comes to the GPU power. You can just actually see it over there. This thing contains a full-size RTX card. So if you're going to be needing a little bit more power with a different build of the RetroBeast, yeah, you can actually not slap this in here because there's still no space for it, but we do have a full-size GPU giving us a little bit more power and also upgradability, and this is going to be absolutely awesome. Let's say you're having a RetroBeast, you update the drive with new kinds of games that need more power, you can also upgrade the GPU, so you don't need to replace the full, let's say, freaking configured PC. So in this video I'm not going to be using both or either of these PCs, with the simple reason I'm going to be doing something more convenient, or convenient not for space related, but particularly when it comes to slapping this hard drive in and configuring everything. With today's RetroBeast we're going to be using a full-size PC. I have the space and this is going to be more convenient slapping the hard drive in. So yeah, this is going to be taking up a lot of space, but we're going to be doing a configuration with the hard drive inside this massive PC. And I think this thing contains an RTX 3060, am I saying correctly? So it's going to be easier. We're going to be letting it set up by the Chris Cool mod of the RetroBeast. And let's see what we're getting with it. So hook everything up and let's have some fun. But how about the Beast? How can we actually use it? So if you don't want to build an arcade machine or something, there are a couple of interesting options out there. So one of them are like used, let's say, arcade sticks. This is one is from Hori. I think also Mad Catz made those with Street Fighter 4 and some other games, having just a normal layout, and it's going to be a plug and play situation. Moving on to the controllers, my favorite one, the Xbox 360. This is an original one. We also have like aftermarket, and some of them are quite good, but when it comes to perfect compatibility, I'm more like a fan of the original one. Moving on to the 8-bit, the M30 wired controller. There's another great one you can actually use, very affordable, but you don't have a joystick, so maybe some emulation is going to be a little bit of a problem. So, or you get yourself like more like an expensive stick. This is a TR5 stick. I think they're not making them anymore, but this one with the Brook encoder had the option to play Xaput, so this is going to be a super easy way to play. And this way we can actually use the RetroBeast. So let's take a close look at it and let's see what's going on with this thing. Is this going to be worth it? There are different type of images when it comes to the RetroBeast. This one is completely made for retro gaming. The Atari Jaguar, we're having the CD, ColecoVision, we're having the Dreamcast Indies, the Dreamcast, let's see, we're having more, Atomic Wave, GameCube, Genesis, the Genesis Steam Edition, and you know, kind of wicked things I've personally never seen of those basic images of, let's say, the stuff that you have on AliExpress, for example, or having, let's say, an Emulation device. Neo Geo X. It's kind of interesting they went for the Neo Geo X logo over there. So having the CD. So let's see what we're going to be having. Even the Mini. That's interesting. Went for the Mini. So N64. Of course the old school NES, Super NES. Panasonic 3DO, PC Engine. This is one of the systems. Phantom system. That is one I have never seen before. So the Philips CDI. That is another system I don't see very often. DuckStation, and this is of course with the PlayStation. So it's interesting having the PlayStation emulator and a separate one for the DuckStation. So DuckStation is one that has like way more better compatibility with a lot of games, and of course all kinds of PS systems like the PlayStation 1, 2 and 3. And if you're going to be combining this with, let's say, the best performance or a good CPU GPU, you're going to be having all kinds of fun. So when it comes to that, so this is actually what's going on when it comes to the image itself. And there is so much stuff that we can actually showcase. So let's do a quick overview of a couple of them. And let's see how it will run combined with the RTX 3060 and this older AMD Ryzen CPU. So you can see the list goes on and on and on. And I think that's one of the convenient things. But let's get into a list quickly to give you an idea how it will look. So one of the great examples I wanted to showcase having Xbox 360. So this is a limited image for, let's say, retro gaming. And you can actually see we're having only the Unleashed recompiled. It's kind of cool they already implemented on the image in here. But you can see that depending on what kind of platform, some of them will have limited games. But the layout itself looks absolutely great, having nice logos and everything else. Yeah, you can set up these things, but I can tell you they are taking ages to set everything up. And if you're going to be choosing a game, so you know, and if something doesn't work, what you can actually do is say, hey, you're going to be logging into, let's say, the online server, and actually it can fix stuff for you if something doesn't work and boot up. And I think that is one of the more convenient things. And for example, having the Wii U is one of the systems that we are having now as making this video, getting into, let's say, the awesome, let's say, handheld gaming options. But you know, when it comes to playing these games, it's just so much fun. And they work perfectly with the joystick. And again, yeah, you're going to be having a little bit of a limitation when it comes to that. Yeah, you can switch with this particular joystick to D-pad mode and analog mode if you want to. But when you're getting into the game itself, of course, with a powerful PC, we can even do a little bit of an upscaling if you want to make this game look even better. And one thing is a fact, I really suck at this game. So let's do a little bit of Sega Saturn gaming. Assault Rigs, man, this game has some really funky soundtracks. Why do I have the idea? Are the soundtracks not different? So in this case we can actually very easily make a quick load, quick save. So that's absolutely awesome. So you know the configuration, everything. I think I can make even a separate tutorial when it comes to, let's say, the configuration, everything you can do. But yeah, overall, when you're going to be looking into, let's say, playing some games here. So out of the box, I don't know if you set everything to 4K rendering resolution. So far I can see, I think this is going to be just on native resolution. And if you want to go back to the menu, press select and start, and that's easy. And that's how it's actually going to be working. So one of the systems you don't see very often is the OG Xbox, another very cool platform with a lot of classics. And I think this is going to be absolutely a lot of fun. And with now the PC and the Beast itself, we're going to be having so much more fun, simply because the compatibility with the PC and the OG Xbox emulator is, in my opinion, so much better than compared with some emulator device that's most of the time really underpowered. So in this way we can actually like just enjoy yourself the original Xbox, because this is going to be, oh man, you need to create a driver first. Oh man, I hate, you know, that's really what I hate about these freaking things. Like, oh man, oh man, oh man. Yeah, okay, can I store it? There we go. But what I wanted to say, it's just a lot of fun to play these OG Xbox games, because the original Xbox systems do have a lot of problems of failure. If you didn't know, now you exactly know, because I think that is one of the biggest problems we're going to be facing in the future. So with emulation, we can preserve our games and just play them. Because I think still the Xbox, but also the PlayStation 2 is such a cool overall system. And this seems to be running absolutely great. Well, let's see how the emulation performance is. Ooh. Man, this looks really messed up. It's kind of funny at the same time, but it's not like how it's supposed to be. So that's one of the things I'm going to be saying, that he's going to be needing to fix it. I do wonder what it is. Is this going to be a driver issue, or, you know? It's kind of interesting. Woo! Completely messed up! Yeah! So if we're going to be building an image, of course we're going to be having a Sonic CD and Final Fight CD on here. I love the Sega CD, by the way, for what it is. It's not like having like a massive, great library of games, but yeah, the handful of games that are on there are just kind of good. Or at least a couple of games I personally really enjoy. But if you want to play stuff like this, yeah, the Chris Cool mode hardware does actually has the support for having Sega CD, but we have like gazillion different ways to just play this. And in particular, you're going to be looking into, let's say, some simple, let's say, devices that can run this perfectly. You can even run this on your freaking phone if you want to, you know. So the PlayStation 2 parts, it looks really nice. I love these box art in combination with the preview videos. It also loads up very fast, but I did see some of them don't have a video. So that's a little bit of a downside. So yeah, that's one of the things he should be fixing in the future. Like they're like the tiny thing, but that's what I love about it. You can actually like ask him to fix those, and you're having like a 100% perfect, let's say, front end. Yeah, and that is the thing when it comes to, let's say, those cheaper drives, that what you see is what you're getting in the end. But when you need to take consideration with these, let's say, massive amount of different games and emulator, yeah, so when you see sometimes a glitch, sometimes it's not even an option to fix it, with the simple reason, because yeah, it's always the question, is the emulator 100% compatible with the game itself? Save files, everything seems to be working just fine. Alright, data successful, and this way we can actually like get into the game. Let's do single event, and let's boot it up. So the loading times of the games are absolutely fast, or at a certain point you do need to wait a little bit, depending on what kind of game you're actually going to be playing, of course. But instant loading is not the case, what you can see with this particular game, but let's see what's going on. This is actually one of those games I have seen a lot but never played. ATV, or racing on a quad. Woo! So when it comes to playing these games, you can actually see the PlayStation 2 runs perfectly. And if you want to, you can always ask him or tinker yourself with the settings. But we're going to be looking into this, you know, out of the box, everything seems to be working just as it is. So I wanted to try out the Street Fighter of the Panasonic 3DO. Let's see which button I need to press. Okay, the start button over here. Let's go to the speed number 2. Oh crap, yeah, I needed to choose Ryu. But if you're going to be playing some fighting games, this is going to be another very cool way to play. Panasonic 3DO is one of the systems I mostly tried on, let's say, those cheaper boxes and had always issues. Oh crap, let's see where the buttons are. Wait, okay. I'm going completely getting my ass kicked, that's one thing for sure. Ugh. But this seems to be working just fine also when it comes to the emulation itself. Yep, I lose absolutely. So a platform I found really interesting is the PSN Platform. Yeah, we're having actually a platform dedicated to the PSN games, of PlayStation Network game, because this is kind of interesting. You don't see this absolutely not a lot. However, there are a couple of things that have more like, these can actually be PC games, for example, the Blaze Rush or Castle Crashers. There are a couple of them out there. We've got some very cool, the Choplifter HD. There were some really cool hidden gems in there. And some are kind of interested. I do wonder if they're having the emulator of the PlayStation implemented or just a PC game, because that would make more sense. Same goes for Gatling Gears. You know, a couple of games I do have on the PlayStation, but are also on the PC itself. So yeah, there was a lot of weird things. Hotline Miami, Jet Car Stunts. That is something I've never seen before. Lufraus, of course, Luminous, the Mega Man series. And this is another cool one, Motor Racer RC. Let's boot it up, because this is in particular one I really find kind of cool. Oh, this game is absolutely awesome. I've been trying to play this on my PS Vita and so, but never get really into it. Rumble function also seems to be working. And I think like, when it comes to the games on the PlayStation 3, they look so cool. Woohoo! Man, I love RC, also in real life. But let's get into the real arcade stuff with this joystick. And as you can see, like, it works plug and play, and that's what I love about the X input of the Xbox 360 itself. So convenient. If you just want to play a game, you can just fairly easy this way. You can just boot it up and play. So let's see if we can find a fun game. Pulsar, yeah, another awesome game. Okay, let's put in a credit. Let's start the game. So the joystick is not the best out there. It's a very enjoyable joystick, but I've been seeing better joysticks with my other joystick over here, like the bigger one is like a way better quality. But what I love about this particular joystick is that when it comes to playing, this is going to be so much more convenient, because it is a very compact design. Doesn't weigh almost anything, with a simple reason, because most of the stuff is made out of plastic. GameCube, another system that I think has a lot of hidden gems. Of course, we have the familiar games, Reckless, the Jacuzzi Mission. I think I played that mostly on Xbox Classic, or the original, the OG. So with the arcade stick, we're doing a little bit limited when it comes to that. We can also switch with different stuff, like there are some of these controls you can switch the D-pad and so. Hey, we were missing box art. You know, that's something he should fix. But again, you know, there is so much to see and so much to play when it comes to that. And then there are so many freaking ways to play when it comes to Tetris, and this is one of the games I love to boot up. Just old school Tetris. This time the GameCube edition. Oh, yeah, I love it when you can press it up and you can just easily drop the blocks. Speeds up the game like crazy. Oh, let's move it in here. Whoopa! There we go. So this is one of the games that I still love to play nowadays. Let me know in the comments, do you have a puzzle game that you love to play? So if you like, we can do a long play on a configuration like this, because there is so much actually to see and to talk about. However, I think at this point there is all kinds of stuff you can play, but there are actually no limitations so far the power of the PC goes. However, in here we're having, like say, different ways to play. When it comes to the plug and play situation, both of the joysticks were playable and work out of the box. Did notice some weird thing in the GameCube emulator of Dolphin, that it doesn't really recognize the joystick. Didn't record it, but just want to mention that sometimes it can give a problem. So for me, if you're going to be using it as a game system, I would just grab myself an X input like this, the Xbox 360 controller, and I think so far I've tested out, there is no problem whatsoever. Thank you all for watching. Let me know in the comments, what do you think of a setup like this? Would you consider it? Or are you more like into something else, like the stuff that I showed before, like basic plug and play sticks? Thank you all for watching, and it would be great to see you in the next video.